Hi dear students, come let's get back to our classes. In the last few days, we were dealing with a beautiful play. What was it titled? Yes, Listen to the Mountain. Okay, and did you all listen to the mountain very well? Okay, and it was written by Kaveri Nambishan. Exactly. And what was the theme of the play? I mean the major theme? Yes, it deals with a serious issue, isn't it? What was it? Yes, exploitation of human beings on nature, or rather the illful practices or unplanned practices of human beings on nature. Exactly. So, in this unit, Care for the Morrow, at first we learned a poem. It was titled Song of the Rain, which is written by Khalil Gibran. In that poem, you heard the voice of the rain, isn't it? Yes. And in the play Listen to the Mountain, you heard the voice of the nature. You heard the voice of the mountain, isn't it? It was loud enough, like a landslide. Yes. So now, let's move on to the next chapter, which comes in this unit, Care for the Morrow. Now, let me ask you one question. We all love our planet Earth, isn't it? And what makes our planet more special from the other planets? Yes? Yeah, we have fresh air, fresh water, and everything that a mankind needs to live, isn't it? Yes. And are we all using those natural resources which are provided by our planet correctly, in a right way? Do you think so? Okay, if so, let us watch a video. Okay?
Hey there! Welcome to Life Noggin. It can be pretty scary to think of all the dangers of climate change. In the past, we've learned together why we should care, but today, let's find out how to be proactive about the situation. One way to help is to drive less when you can. Rather than using your own personal car, try to carpool or use public transportation. If your destination is close enough, maybe even consider walking or riding a bike. Carbon dioxide, or CO2, is a major contributor to climate change, and vehicles are a large portion of the CO2 humanity produces. In fact, it's estimated that for every 2-mile car trip you take, 2 pounds of CO2 are put into the atmosphere. Please thank all those kids riding skateboards, because they're kinda saving the world. Even though they won't get off my lawn. You can also help out by recycling and reusing things when you can. Rather than throwing out all your gadgets and gizmos, see if you can find another use for them or donate them to charity if the product is still good. Recycling helps fight climate change because it takes less energy to make something from recycled products than starting from scratch. Also, consider buying things with less packaging in the first place, or items that use recyclable packaging. This next one might be a little scary to everyone who has ever taken part in the war for the thermostat, but I challenge you to try and let your homes be a little warmer in the summer and a little colder in the winter, even if it's just by a few degrees. Moving your thermostat up 2 degrees in the summer and down 2 degrees in the winter could eliminate an estimated 2,000 pounds of CO2 a year. And believe it or not, your diet can play a huge part in the climate change battle. Consider eating less meat when you can, as the animal agriculture industry emits a large amount of greenhouse gases. The livestock sector, which includes things like feed production and transport, is responsible for around 14% of all the greenhouse gas emissions around the globe. I'm not necessarily saying you need to go vegetarian or vegan, but maybe try things like meatless Mondays or pick a plant-based option for even just one meal when you could have had meat. Every little bit helps. I know that kale salad looks scary, but you could do it. It should be noted, however, that it might not be as simple as all plants are better for the environment than all meats when taking everything into account, such as the energy required to produce the food. Overall, though, plant-based diets seem to be better for the fight against climate change than meat-based ones. Another thing you can do is inspire others to join the fight against climate change. This can be as simple as talking to your friends and family about the issues, or organizing groups and events in your local community. You can even contact your government officials and urge them to take action and have policies that lead to a healthier, greener future. And think about this, if you lose your world, well, then I kinda lose mine. I partnered up with an inconvenient sequel to bring you this video because the stakes have never been higher when it comes to saving our planet. However, we are close to a real energy revolution, and you can take action and learn more by watching the film. Send a message of truth to power and see an inconvenient sequel in New York and Los Angeles starting July 28th, and nationwide, August 4th. As always, I'm Blocko. This has been Life Noggin. Don't forget to keep on thinking.
Okay students, so what did we see in this video? Yes, different kinds of pollutions which are made by human beings. Okay, we can also see some of the solutions with which we can reduce that, isn't it? Reduce that problems caused to the nature. Okay, so what are some of that solutions suggested in that video? Can you please write it down in your notebook? Yes, I shall give you half a minute. Okay, have you written it down? Can you tell me some of the suggestions which you got from that video? Yes. Reduce vehicles. Yes, reduce vehicles. Use skaters, use cycles, isn't it? Yes, and that's more healthy too, isn't it? Yeah. Then what? Reduce meat. Okay, you all love chicken and mutton and all, isn't it? Yes, but we should reduce meat items. Why is it? Yes, because it causes greenhouse gases. And isn't it harmful? Yes, greenhouse gases means? Can you give me any example? Yes, carbon dioxide. Yeah. So, that's it. Now, have you heard a Malayalam song like this? I'll sing for you. കാറ്റേ നീ വീശരുതിപ്പോൾ കാരേ നീ പെയ്യരുതിപ്പോൾ ആരോമൽ തോണിയിൽ എൻ്റെ ജീവനിരിപ്പു. Yes, you have, isn't it? Okay. Now, what does this song suggest? What does those two lines suggest? Yes? Yes, the literal meaning of the song? Yeah. The rain don't shower, the wind don't blow, because my life is here in this boat. Please let me get back to the banks. Okay. So, now what does this song suggest? Yes, about the weather, about the changes that happen in the nature, isn't it? So, from there we can learn a new term. What is it? Any guesses? Weather change? Yes, climate change. Okay, that term we also heard in that video, is it? So we have something more to know about that term, climate change on our planet. For that, let's move into a new lesson, and it is not a mere chapter. It is something more special. Yes, it is written. This chapter is written in the form of a speech. So, we have a new speech to learn. Okay. Before moving into the chapter, what is a speech? Can you give me any example? Have you heard about Swami Vivekananda's speech? Yes, Martin Luther King's? Yeah. So like that, we have someone speaking important about a serious issue of climate change, which is happening all over the world. Okay? Okay, I'll show you a picture and try to recognize the personality. Yes, children, who is it? No idea? Okay, I'll show you one more picture with which you should get him. Okay, now you got him, isn't it? Yes, the worldwide famous Hollywood actor. Yes, Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, and we all have seen his most beautiful, most romantic movie, Titanic. Okay, so we all know he is an actor, but more than that, he is an environmentalist. He is an environmentalist. Okay, so let's move into a speech which he had delivered in UN, United Nations, on the topic climate change. Yes, a serious issue which we all are ignorant of. So, the speech was titled, Climate Change is Not a Hysteria. It is a fact. Okay? So, the speech was titled, yes, Climate Change is not a hysteria. Hysteria. It is a fact. Okay. That was the title of his speech. And who is the author? Who is the orator? Yes, Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay? Don't get confused with the spellings. Okay? So what was the speech titled? Climate change is not a hysteria, it's a fact, which was spoken by Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay. So, what do you mean by hysteria? Yes, an emotion that cannot be controlled. So, some people think that climate change is a hysteria. Do you think so? Anyway, Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't think like that. He says that it's a fact. Okay, let's see what he has to say. Profile of the author. Leonardo DiCaprio, born on November 11th, 1974. An American actor, producer, founder of Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, and UN Messenger of Peace with special focus to climate change. Gained international fame with James Cameron's epic romance Titanic in 1997, and a committed environmentalist. Okay, so let's move into the chapter. Okay, I will show his speech part by part, and you shall hear it and read it in your textbook carefully. Okay, so follow with the course book.
Please welcome newly appointed United Nations Messenger of Peace, Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. I am honored to be here today. I stand before you not as an expert, but as a concerned citizen, one of the 400,000 people who marched in the streets of New York on Sunday, and the billions of others around the world who want to solve our climate crisis. As an actor, I pretend for a living. I play fictitious characters, often solving fictitious problems. I believe that mankind has looked at climate change in that same way, as if it were a fiction, as if pretending that climate change wasn't real would somehow make it go away.
So now it's your turn. Read the first two paras silently. Yes, so hope you have listened to the first part of the speech very carefully. Okay, let me ask you some simple questions. Yes, so what is the title of the chapter? That is the title of the speech. Yes? Climate change is not a hysteria, but yes, it's a fact. Very good. Then, who is the orator? Yes, Leonardo DiCaprio. Very good. One more question. According to DiCaprio, climate change is, yes, it's a fact. It is not at all a hysteria, or it is not at all a fictitious thing. Okay. Okay, children. Now, read in pairs and find out the difficult words. Okay, students. So, did you find any difficult words? Yes? Excellency? Let's see what it means. Excellency, isn't it? Excellencies. This is the word, isn't it? So, how do we pronounce the word? Excellency. Okay? Excellency. Excellency. What does it mean? Yes, excellencies are titles which are always referring to higher officials. Okay? Titles to address higher officials. Okay? Titles to address higher officials. To speak high of someone who stands in a high rank. Okay? Now, any other word? Yes? Fictitious. Let's see. So, the word is fictitious. Fictitious. And how do we pronounce the word? Fictitious. Fictitious. Okay? Now, what is the meaning? Created, okay, or not real. Created or not real. See, fictitious, which is created or not real. Okay, for example, the novel is set in a fictitious village named Malgudi. Okay. Okay, students. So now it's time to get deep into the chapter. I will explain.
Climate change is not hysteria. It's a fact. Leonardo DiCaprio begins his speech by thanking the Secretary General of UN for praising him with those excellencies. He starts the speech by addressing the audience as ladies and gentlemen and the distinguished guests. He says that he feels honored to be there and states that he is not standing there as an expert but as a concerned citizen, one of the representatives of the 400,000 people who marched in the streets of New York on Sunday and the billions of others around the world who went to solve the problem of climate crisis. He says that as an actor he pretended for a living and he played many fictitious characters, often solving fictitious problems. And he believes mankind has looked at climate change in that same way as if it were a fiction happening to someone else's planet, as if pretending that climate change wasn't real and would somehow make it go away.
Yes, children. Now it's time to discuss some more questions, isn't it?
Why did the people march in the streets of New York? Yes, children. The people marched in the streets of New York to show their concern for climate change and demanding solutions for the climate crisis. What is the attitude of human beings towards climate change? Answer: human beings don't take climate change as a serious issue. They think it is just an imaginary thing and it would go away somehow. Now, where was the speech delivered? Yes, in the United Nations Climate Summit.
Okay, children, now it's time for a small activity. Okay, a small one. Point out some of the facts that you know about climate change. Okay, point out some of the facts that you know about climate change. I'll give you half a minute, and after that, yes, I will provide my version of the answer.
Point out some of the facts about climate change. The term climate change encompasses global warming but refers to the broader range of changes that are happening to our planet. These broader climate changes include rising sea level, shrinking mountain glaciers, accelerating the melt in Greenland, Antarctica, and the Arctic, and shifts in flower and plant blooming times. Human activity, especially greenhouse gas emission, is considered the dominant cause of temperature increase. The International Panel on Climate Change was formed in 1988 to collect and assess evidence on climate change.
Let's have a look at the major points that we saw in the first part of the speech.
Climate change is not hysteria, it's a fact. Speech Part 1, Major Points. Begins the speech by thanking the Secretary General of UN for his excellencies, addresses the audience and says that he feels honored to be there. He says that he doesn't stand there as an expert, but as a representative of the 400,000 people who marched in the streets of New York on Sunday and of all the ones in the world who stand to solve the climate crisis. He played fictitious characters solving fictitious problems, and the mankind thinks about the problem of climate crisis as a fictitious thing which will somehow go away.
So hope you got the first part of the speech. Okay. Now we'll wind up this session. Before that, yes, a small activity for you. Can you guess? Yes. Write the profile of the author. Prepare the profile of the author. So do it for the next class. Okay? Don't forget. Yes. So see you till then. Take care. Thank you.